I just got out from playing the Nintendo Switch 2 at an event here in London. See, the swag. Anyway, yeah, I played a few games including Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bananza, and a handful of others. And I'm not going to go through them all in this video here, but I just kind of wanted to give you my immediate thoughts, having now played the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm just going to give you my vibe check on it. In terms of the hardware, this is a significant leap if you come from like the original 2017 launch day hardware, which is what I'm doing. I never actually bothered getting the OLED model. I was always kind of thinking like, oh, I'll just get the next one. I'll just get the upgrade, it's fine, it's not a big issue. So this is gonna be a huge upgrade if you're coming from that original launch day version. If you think about it, like when Nintendo were developing the original Switch, they were doing so in like 2015, 2016, before launching in 2017. So the panel that's found in the original Switch is basically like a decade old at this point. And in that time, like LCD technology has come on a fair bit. So I think this panel is gonna surprise a lot of people and really delight people who come in from the original one. Obviously, if you've got an OLED, then it's not gonna be as like impressive or even impressive at all. Like the black levels aren't as good as like on the OLED, obviously, but in terms of like the screen brightness, the screen kind of like vividness, and like it's just a bigger screen as well. I think a lot of people are going to be really, really happy with this. I certainly was. I thought it looked great. Yeah, like in terms of let's say the general feel of it, like I thought the original kind of Switch felt a little bit cheap on the plastic side. You know, like it wasn't very durable. It just kind of had like, you could kind of click it with your fingers and it felt a bit hollow. I don't know. This one feels a lot more sturdy and like solid in a way. Like it feels like it's made of metal. Obviously it's not, but it just feels a lot more sturdy and well designed. Not like a Fisher-Price toy you could throw down the stairs sort of thing. And on that point, in kind of terms of like sturdiness and stuff, the magnetic Joy-Cons, they're really, really solid. Like doing the kind of unclicky thing is actually quite satisfying. And that is a world of difference compared to the Switch 1 as well, because removing the Joy-Con was always like a bit of a faff, like trying to line it up with the rails and get it in. It wasn't like an easy thing that you always felt confident about doing, especially like doing it blind or like behind the back of a TV or whatever it may be. You know, so this new mechanism feels so much better, and it's actually just fun to kind of play with. It's like a little fidget toy kind of thing. So the fact that I can say it's fun to kind of mess around with versus the kind of unease that the original Switch kind of brought about it with the rails and the Joy-Con and the buttons, especially if you're putting on those little accessories that went on the side. Those things are a nightmare to get off. So yeah, durability, really good. The console design is, again, I mean, we know it's iterative. It's not going to blow the world away, but the Switch 2 is exactly what people wanted, actually. It's, you know, it's a revision. It's Nintendo playing it safe, but they've actually come out here with something that, there's a pigeon here. They've actually come out with something that looks really nice and really solid and is a good bit of hardware, like the new kickstand as well. Great, especially if you're coming from the original launch day model, which is something I keep saying, but if you bought that Switch in 2017, this upgrade is going to be huge for you. If you've got the OLED one with a nice kickstand, then you know, what's so much? Your mileage may vary, but I came away impressed. Really nice, solid hardware. I mean, I'm just gonna check my notes because I have been like writing a few things down. I might have said something else about the hardware that I forgot to mention here, but in terms of, yeah, improved screen is, yeah, if you've got an OLED, the screen is actually fine for you, and you come into this Switch 2, I don't think you're gonna like feel that you've got a downgrade here. It's a solid screen. Yeah, I've kind of covered what I wanted to say there about the hardware itself, but in terms of the games I played, I'm going to start off with Mario Kart World, which is the first game I played. And when you came in, all of the staff at the Switch 2 event were kind of like cheering at you and stuff, which is a bit random. But yeah, that was the first game I played, and there was like a Grand Prix that we did, and then I also did the Knockout Tour, and that was really, really good fun. And I think it just kind of speaks to Mario Kart and like how it's played in this new version, and how it could become like the social kind of hub, kind of third place thing, kind of in the same way that Fortnite is. You know, a lot of people just use Fortnite as like a hangout spot, not so much to play the game, but just to kind of just mess around in a digital space. And I think this new Mario Kart game is going to be pretty awesome for that, because you can just jump in, not be stuck in some menu somewhere, and just mess about. And even if you're just jumping from race to race to race, whilst you're waiting, you're not jumping out of a menu, which is one of the things with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and 8, which was always a bit annoying. It was always a bit annoying, like you play your one race, and then you go back onto the world map with the globe thing where all your Mii's are sat on top of it, and you choose again, and this time you're just racing around and you can pick kind of while you're playing. It's a much better system, really, really good, and it'll kind of make the gameplay session just feel a lot more open and free. So I think it's a really, really smart move, and it's gonna be a lot more kind of I know like Mario Kart 8 was played a ton online, but this is going to be huge online. You just feel it. It's got that kind of open space about it, which will just be like a third place hangout joint, and I think that's going to be huge for it. In terms of like the new formats and stuff, like the knockout rules, they were demoing that hard here at the event, and they had like 24 TVs with switches set up so everyone could like, you know, play. every single, like, there was no CPUs, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And it's when you're in the same room as the 24 people doing it, it's pretty intense. There's a lot of whooping and hollering going on. But yeah, I think it's great if you're winning. You know, if you get knocked out in the first round, then you're not having much fun, are you? But the actual end game is pretty sweet. And, you know, you get Mario Karted a ton. Like, you go from being like, the amount of times I was playing that knockout tour mode and I was just about to miss and like be kicked out, and then something miraculous or some bullshit, as some other people might call it, some Mario Kart bullshit happened, and I was kept in the game, so that was nice. And yeah, there's a ridiculous amount of like new characters in here because of the 24 character count on the grid kind of racing. Then they need more than 24 characters, I guess, to kind of satisfy the itch of everyone being their own person and being their own character. So yeah, that was cool. Moving on to Donkey Kong Bananza, and I'm not entirely sure about this one, to be perfectly honest with you, because it looks the part, but I don't really think it felt the part, if that makes sense. Like, in terms of the gameplay, I just found it a bit uneven. Like, there was times when you like trying to collect stuff, and it feels like a weird mix between like Odyssey and like Tears of the Kingdom. It's like this open world thing where you're moving around and like smashing stuff up, but when you do smash stuff up, you can't really see where you're going, because you kind of, the amount of times I was saying in my head that Simpsons quote of like, dig up, stupid. And it's just one of those things. Like, I know it's coming out in a few months, but I only had like 10 minutes with it, so I can't really form a full impression on it. But my first impressions, and this was a shame actually, because this is one I was looking forward to playing the most, and I think it looks great, and the animations are great, and you know, the style of Donkey Kong in this is awesome, but the gameplay didn't entirely grab me. It just felt a little bit unsure about itself in terms of what ideas it wanted to latch onto, and just a little bit uneven. So we will see. But like I said, it was like a 10-15 minute demo. Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which is a mouthful, and the poor rep had to say that when I sat down, and I was like, that was a mouthful. He's like, yep. They have to say the full official title. I just found it amusing. They can't just say, oh, here's Metroid Prime. Anyway, I played that with mouse mode, and that is sweet. Like, that wasn't the first time I actually played mouse mode. Prior to that, and actually I probably should talk about this here, Drag and Drive, or whatever it's called, Drag X Drive or something like that, the one with the mouse control wheelchair thing. I think it's like a cool idea, especially from like a representation point of view, but it's exhausting. And it's one of those games, kind of like ARMS, that is going to find a really small but dedicated following, and people are going to love it. But broadly, I don't think there's much there, and it looks a bit bland. Like, outside of the arenas, like, there's not much going on for it. I don't know if there's much meat on the bone, basically, is what I'm saying. It feels pretty bare bones and pretty basic. I'd be interested to see how they price this at, especially considering Doug Bowser was saying, oh, well, we'll price each game accordingly. You know, that's why Mario Kart is like $80 and Donkey Kong 70, and, you know, other things will be like Welcome Tour is like a tenner or whatever it is. So I'd be interested to see where they pitch this one, because it doesn't feel like there's a lot there, and it is a primarily online game, so you need to have your buddies on with you. And the gameplay itself, fine, you know, the mouse control works really well, by the way. I'm not kind of poo-pooing on that. Like, and it is slick as well when you like raise your hand up and then dunk the ball into the ring, you know, into the hoop. So there's something there, but I just don't know if it's enough to kind of be a, I don't know, it just feels a bit fine. It's fine, is what I'm getting at. Anyway, but that was my first introduction to mouse mode, and doing it constantly is kind of exhausting. But anyway, Metroid, that's where the mouse mode really kind of came into its own. And it's super, super good. It takes some getting used to. I found myself with like my hand on the mouse for like looking around the environment, but wanting to use the joystick that's on the mouse there. But it's just muscle memory, isn't it? I'm just expecting it to do something when you move it, and it didn't. So anyway, yeah, Metroid. It was kind of an action-focused demo, not so much of the Metroid puzzly bits, and that makes sense for a demo. They want you to get through it quickly, and there was a boss at the end, and you had to like use the mouse to like, my hair is crazy right now. You have to use the mouse to like target certain parts of its body, you know, the glowing bits, typical fare really. But you know, Retro are cooking. It looks good. I'm happy to see them back on Metroid, and I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be good. I mean, whether it's worth the wait from 2017 is to be determined. But I think it's shaping up to look really nice. And I will say, I played it at 120 frames per second, and it just looked great. And visually as well, like compared to the Switch 1 trailers we've been seeing, the Switch 2 version just looks delightful. So I'm really happy with that from like a visual standpoint as well, in terms of what the Switch 2 can do. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I mean, I've played a couple of the other stuff, like the third-party things and things, but generally, there's a lot to like here. I mean, I think the launch lineup is leaning heavily on Mario Kart, and I think that's okay, because they've got something there that is really compelling. But broadly, I think there could have been something else here on the launch day that would have made it really, really... You want a good, meaty single-player experience, don't you? And feels like from Nintendo at least, that's not really coming on launch day. There are some really interesting third-party stuff coming, which I will talk about in the newsletter, but they weren't there at the show today, so I'm going to leave it there. Those were my kind of off-the-cuff Switch 2 impressions, and now I'm going to go see what's in my Switch 2 goodie bag thing. Bye.